So I guess the first question that we need to answer is, what exactly is Snapshot? Now some of you Genshin players might already be familiar with this, so let me know if I'm explaining it correctly. I've explained it so many times over the years, but I think the best way to actually put it together is think of it like you are taking a photograph. So right now, before I take the photo, I'm putting all my buffs on sample right now. So I have attack buffs, I have damage buffs, whatever not here and there, and then I take a picture of the damage instance at a particular period of time. And after, for example, let's say in reality, all the buffs have worn off, but because I'm taking this like picture right here, so it like kind of snapshots the damage buffs at that particular time. And for example, DOT lasts like 3 turns or longer on the target. So the question is, will they still get this image of the maximum buffs being placed, or perhaps do they get actually the reality this sample who doesn't have any buffs at that point of time? So the real question is it dynamic or is it like fixated at one point of time at the point of casting? That is what we want to figure out. And for this test, I'm going to be using Bronya as well as sample. So I have an ultimate burst ready. So I just want to do 2 comparisons. First is just the naked damage that sample does with his E skill when he does his wind shear thingy. And then later on, of course, once Bronya does the buff, I want to see whether it actually stacks. So I'm going to just use this domain here as an example of a test. Let's jump in real quick. So I'll talk about like, the implications of all these like later on, but first I just want to see it like a plain vanilla test. I'm going to go ahead and just push sample up because I want him to go straight away. This guy is going to move, so I think I will smack him first. So both of the cycles have to be the same. I'm going to attack this guy. 2 stacks of wind shear. We see a 913 damage right there. That's really all I need to see. I'm just going to go back off real quick. And now let's jump back in. And now we're going to go ahead and use Bronya's ultimate as well. So now before I buff, I'm just going to use the ultimate ability. So this kind of like gives him the attack damage boost, which is the one that matters. I'm going to push him up again to do exactly the same thing. So of course, it's going to do a lot more damage. 2 stacks here, you see that 1121. But more importantly, I want to see once these buffs like wear off, will he actually still have that damage on it? So I'm not going to touch this guy anymore. You can see there's 2 turns left. I'm going to go ahead and pump him up again. So he consistently has Bronya's buff. But of course, this Balabok March, this funny symbol here, this one will wear off soon. And then we can see whether that buff actually snapshots. Okay, so in that very quick test, we actually saw a very important fact, and I'm going to tell you what it implies also in like things to consider when you're making your damage over time team. As we saw, damage over time does not snapshot. Once the buff wore off for sample, it went back down to 913 instead of like the 1000 plus or with the Balabok March as well. So damage over time doesn't snapshot. What this means is you need characters to continuously give buffs, buff uptime and stuff like that. So characters, for example, like Huynh, who have like a very short period of timing buffs, might not be as useful in DOT comms because their damage is more or less like across the period. When the enemy takes their turn, your buffs have to be active. If it's not active, you will lose the buff. So turn-based buffing characters like Huynh might not be as good, but general buffers like across the board buffers, for example like Alystra, who generally has a higher uptime on attack buffs, can see some good value because her minimum stacks, of course she goes from like 5 to 1, but she generally has a decent amount of stacks as long as you have good amounts of skill points for her to use. So there is like some things to consider when we are thinking about our team composition builds. Of course, a character like Bronya, for example like Tingyun, who generally has downtime in, for example, their attack buffing, might be not as preferred to characters that can just buff the whole team, attack buff all at once, since it does not snapshot. If you found this video helpful and is insightful as well, I think you will find this other DOT guide video very useful. We go talk about whether defense shredding, does that actually benefit the characters? Check it out, I think it's very interesting. And thank you so much for watching. See you in the next video.